She risked her life for a man who never saw her. He risked his heart for a woman he couldn't let go. The plate she swapped saved him. The choice he made claimed her forever. Abigail Mitchell moved through the restaurant like a shadow, seen but never noticed. Her hands ached from carrying trays worth more than her monthly rent. The Korean fine dining establishment catered to men who wore power like cologne, and she'd learned long ago that invisibility kept you safe. She refilled water glasses at table 7, eyes down, breath steady. A year ago, she'd worn a diamond ring and believed in forevers. Then she came home early and found her fiancé in bed with her best friend. The ring was gone. The trust was gone. Now she worked double shifts just to silence the loneliness. The door opened. The room shifted. Lee Dong-min entered like winter, cold, sharp, inevitable. His black suit fit like a threat. Men stood when he passed. Women looked away. He was the kind of dangerous that didn't need to announce itself. Abigail had served him before. He never looked at her, never spoke. She was furniture. His brother Jae-sung walked beside him, scanning exits, watching hands. Security flanked them in silence. This wasn't dinner. This was a statement. They sat at the center table, the one reserved for kings. Abigail approached with the first course, moving on instinct. She set the plate down gently, professionally. Dongmin didn't acknowledge her. He never did. But as she stepped back, something caught her eye. The garnish. It was angled wrong. The steam rose too fast, too thin, carrying a faint metallic edge beneath the butter and wine. Her stomach dropped. She'd served this dish 100 times. This wasn't right. Her pulse hammered as Dongmin reached for his fork. If you saw death coming for someone powerful, would you risk everything to stop it, even if they'd never notice you existed? Drop your answer below. She had 3 seconds to decide. Abigail moved without thinking. Her hand shot out, smooth and deliberate, swapping Dongmin's plate with the untouched one from the display cart. The motion looked like service. It was survival. The fork stopped midair. Silence exploded across the table. Dongmin's eyes lifted, dark, unreadable, lethal. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He just looked at her. Jae-sung was on his feet instantly. What did you just do? Abigail's throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. There was an error in the plating, sir. I corrected it. An error? Jae-sung stepped closer, his tone a blade wrapped in silk. This dish passed 3 inspections. Then someone changed it after, Abigail said, meeting his eyes. Her hands didn't shake. Shaking meant guilt. Dongmin finally spoke. His voice was quiet, controlled, colder than the room deserved. Explain. Abigail gestured subtly to the swapped plate. The steam. It's rising wrong. Too fast, too sharp. The garnish is angled left when it should be right, and there's a scent underneath the reduction that doesn't belong. Jae-sung's jaw tightened. He lifted the plate, studied it under the light. His expression shifted. Test it, Dongmin said. A man appeared with a small vial, applied a single drop to the sauce. The liquid turned faintly gray. Poison. The room froze. Dongmin's gaze never left Abigail. You saw this? How? I notice things, she said simply. It's how I survive. His eyes narrowed, not with anger, with something sharper. Curiosity. Respect. Across the table, one of the guests shifted nervously. Too nervous. Jae-sung caught it. His hand moved to his side. And Abigail realized with cold clarity, she hadn't just saved Dongmin's life. She'd stepped into a war she didn't understand. But Dongmin understood. He stood slowly, his presence filling the space. Take him. 3 days later, Abigail was back at her apartment, scrubbing dishes that had piled up during double shifts. She'd told herself the restaurant incident was over. Done. She'd been questioned, thanked politely, then dismissed. She wanted normal back. The knock on her door shattered that lie. Jae-sung stood in the hallway, flanked by 2 men in black. Miss Mitchell, you need to come with us. I already gave my statement. This isn't a request. 20 minutes later, she stood in a penthouse that overlooked the city like a throne room. Marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, art worth more than her life. Dongmin sat in a leather chair, watching her like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. I didn't ask to be here, Abigail said, arms crossed. You don't have a choice. His voice was calm, absolute. Excuse me? The man you helped expose had allies. They know you identified the poison, they know your face. Her stomach dropped. That's not my problem. Dongmin leaned forward, elbows on his knees. It became your problem the moment you touched my plate. So what? You're going to lock me up? Keep me prisoner because I saved your life? No. He stood, closing the distance between them. I'm going to keep you alive, whether you like it or not. Abigail's pulse raced. I don't need your protection. Then you'll die within the week. His eyes didn't waver. Your apartment has been surveilled twice. Your route to work, memorized? They're waiting for the right moment. She swallowed hard. And if I refuse? Dongmin's expression didn't change. Then I'll attend your funeral, and I don't attend funerals anymore. The weight of his words settled like stone. She had no choice. She never did. The penthouse became her cage. Abigail had her own room, massive, sterile, cold. She hated it. Hated the silence. Hated the guards outside her door. Hated that Dongmin was right. She couldn't go back. Dinner was served at 8, always formal, always quiet. Tonight, she broke the silence. Why do you live like this? She asked, gesturing to the empty chairs, the untouched spaces. Dongmin paused mid-cut, his knife hovering over his perfectly seared meat. Like what? Alone, in a house built for dozens. His jaw tightened. I prefer solitude. You prefer control, Abigail corrected. There's a difference. He set down his utensils slowly, deliberately. You don't know me. I know loss, she said. I know what it looks like when someone builds walls so high they forget what they're protecting. Dongmin's eyes flashed. Anger, then something rawer. Careful, Miss Mitchell. Or what? You'll send me away? She leaned forward. You brought me here. You wanted me close. So stop pretending this is just about protection. Silence stretched between them, sharp and electric. Finally, Dongmin spoke, his voice low, almost broken. Everyone I loved is dead. Abigail's breath caught. My wife. My daughter. He stared at the table. 3 years ago. Peace talks with a rival faction. They sent flowers the day before, bombs the day of. Her chest ached. Dongmin. I don't get close anymore, he continued. I don't trust, I don't feel. It's safer that way. Abigail reached across the table, her hand covering his. Safer isn't the same as living. He looked at their joined hands, something flickering in his eyes. Fear, longing, hope. You risked everything for me, he whispered. Why? Because some things are worth the risk. For the first time in 3 years, Dongmin didn't pull away. Abigail couldn't sleep. She wandered the penthouse halls at 2 a.m., her footsteps muffled on expensive rugs. A door stood ajar, Dongmin's study. Inside, moonlight spilled over a desk covered in files. And a photograph. She stepped closer. A younger Dongmin smiled in the image. Genuinely smiled. His arm around a beautiful woman holding a little girl with pigtails. They looked whole. Happy. Her name was Hana. Abigail spun. Dongmin stood in the doorway, shirt unbuttoned, eyes shadowed with exhaustion. Your daughter, Abigail whispered. He nodded, stepping into the room. She was 5, obsessed with butterflies, used to chase them in the garden every morning. And your wife? Min Seo. His voice cracked. She believed I could be more than this, more than violence and control. She saw something good in me I couldn't see myself. Abigail's throat burned. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to protect them. Dongmin continued, staring at the photo. That's what power is for, but I failed. And every day since, I've made sure no one gets close enough to become a target again. Until me. He looked at her then, really looked. You weren't supposed to matter. But I do. Dongmin closed his eyes. Yes. Abigail stepped closer, her hand finding his. I know what betrayal feels like too. My fiancé, he destroyed me. I thought I'd never trust again, never let anyone close. What changed? You, she admitted. You didn't ask for my courage, didn't demand my loyalty, but somehow you made me want to be brave again. Dongmin's hand tightened around hers. You terrify me, Abigail. Good, she whispered. You terrify me too. And in the darkness, surrounded by ghosts, they found something neither expected. Hope. Rain battered the windows. Abigail found Dongmin in the study again, staring at the storm like it held answers. She didn't ask permission, she just sat beside him on the leather couch. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Dongmin broke. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Feel again. His voice was raw. Every time I remember what I lost, what loving someone cost. Abigail turned to him. And what does not loving cost? He met her eyes. Everything. She took his hand, threading her fingers through his. I'm not asking you to forget them. I'm asking you to let yourself live. What if I lose you too? What if you don't? She countered. What if this time you get to keep something good? Dongmin's thumb traced circles on her palm. You saved my life, Abigail, but you're destroying every defense I built. Good, she whispered, because those defenses were killing you. He pulled her closer, his forehead resting against hers. I'm a dangerous man. My world... I know what your world is, she interrupted. And I'm still here. His breath hitched. Why? Because when I look at you, I don't see a monster. I see a man who loved so deeply it broke him. And I think... She paused, vulnerable. I think maybe we're both tired of being broken alone. Dongmin's hand cupped her face, his touch reverent. If I do this, if I let you in, I won't let you go. Then don't. He kissed her. Soft at first, then desperate, like a man drowning who'd finally found air. She melted into him, her hands in his hair, her heart pounding against his. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dongmin whispered, You're mine now. I know. The explosion came at dawn. Abigail woke to shattered glass and screaming alarms. Dongmin yanked her from bed, shielding her body as bullets ripped through walls. Stay down, he shouted. Jae-sung burst through the door. East Wing breached. They're inside. Dongmin shoved Abigail toward his brother. Get her out. No! Abigail grabbed his arm. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. He kissed her hard, fast. Go. Now. Jae-sung dragged her into the hallway. Behind them, gunfire erupted. They made it to the safe room, reinforced steel surveillance feeds. Abigail watched the screens, heart in her throat. Dongmin fought like a demon, precise, brutal, unstoppable. Then she saw it. A gunman concealed, aiming at Dongmin's back. No! She screamed. The shot fired. Dongmin went down. Hours later, the penthouse was silent. Bodies removed, blood cleaned. Dongmin survived. The bullet grazed his ribs. But when Abigail tried to enter his room, guards blocked her. Boss's orders, one said. You're to leave in the morning. Her world tilted. What? Jae-sung appeared, expression grim. He's sending you away. Witness protection, new identity. Let me talk to him. He won't see you. Abigail shoved past them, bursting into Dongmin's room. He stood by the window, bandaged, distant. You're sending me away? Her voice broke. Yes. After everything? After last night? Last night was a mistake, he said coldly. You're a liability, Abigail. You make me weak, and weakness gets people killed. Tears burned her eyes. You don't mean that. He finally looked at her and his expression was stone. Leave before I have you removed. Would you fight for someone who's pushing you away to protect you? Comment below. Abigail's heart shattered. She turned and walked out. Abigail packed in numb silence. One suitcase. A new name waiting. A life that wasn't hers. She was almost finished when Jae Sung knocked. Can I come in? She didn't answer. He entered anyway. He's an idiot, Jae Sung said bluntly. I don't want to talk about him. He loves you. Abigail laughed bitterly. He has a strange way of showing it. Jae Sung sat on the bed. 3 years ago, I watched my brother bury his wife and daughter. He didn't cry. Didn't break. He just turned off. I thought I'd lost him forever. Abigail's hands stilled. Then you walked into his life, Jae Sung continued. And for the first time since Min Seo died, I saw him feel something. Smile. Hope. Then why? Because he's terrified, Jae Sung interrupted. Loving you means risking you. And he can't survive losing someone again. So he's choosing to lose you on his terms. Abigail sank onto the bed. What am I supposed to do? That depends. Do you love him? She closed her eyes. Yes? Then stop letting him make your choices. Jae Sung stood. He thinks pushing you away will keep you safe. But all it's doing is destroying you both. Abigail looked up. He won't listen to me. Then make him. Jae Sung opened the door. His room, top floor. He's been staring at the rain for 6 hours. She hesitated. What if he still pushes me away? Then you'll know you tried, but Abigail... Jae Sung's eyes softened. He needs you, even if he's too broken to admit it. Abigail took a shaking breath. Then she stood, walked out of the guest room, and headed upstairs. She chose him, even if he couldn't choose himself. Dongmin didn't turn when she entered. I told you to leave, he said, voice hollow. I don't take orders well. Abigail closed the door behind her. Especially from cowards. That got his attention. He spun, eyes flashing. Excuse me? You heard me. She stepped closer. You're a coward, Dongmin. You'd rather push me away than risk loving me. You'd rather live half alive than feel fully human again? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Her voice cracked. You're scared. So am I. You think I'm not terrified of this? Of you? Of what loving you means? Then why stay? He demanded. Because I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. Tears streamed down her face. You don't get to decide my fate, Dongmin. I do, and I choose you. I choose this, even if it's dangerous, even if it's hard. His defenses crumbled. I can't lose you, Abigail. Then stop pushing me away. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. I'm broken, damaged. I don't know if I can be what you need. She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. I don't need perfect. I need you. I love you, he whispered, the words raw and desperate. God help me, I love you. Then let me love you back. He kissed her like a man reborn, fierce, claiming, reverent. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. You're mine, Abigail Mitchell, publicly, permanently, no more hiding. Promise? I swear it. 2 weeks later, Dongmin stood before his entire organization, Abigail at his side. This woman saved my life, he announced, and now she owns it. She is under my protection, my claim, my future. He turned to her, eyes soft. And if anyone has a problem with that, Abigail smiled. They'll have to go through both of us. The room erupted in approval. Dongmin pulled her close, whispering against her hair. Thank you. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible too. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. We saved each other. And in a world built on power and fear, 2 broken souls found something stronger. Love that refused to die.